and welcome to 50 Fabulous Knits. My name is Pia and I am, as always, so very happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about yarn and knitting. I have a couple of small projects to show you, but I have also felt the urge to work on something a bit more substantial, if you will, than shorty socks and yarn cozies, so I have picked up Peter's sweater again. Also today I am bringing back the tips and tricks segment. I can really feel that my crazy happy summer is coming to an end and crazy happy normal life have resumed. But anyway, for tips and tricks, we are going to talk about steeking because one of you asked about steeking quite a while back before this crazy happy summer happened. So if this sounds like something you're into, I hope you will settle in and enjoy the ride. Before we get into all of the projects, I just want to mention what I am wearing. Returning viewers will have seen this before. Car passing. I'm sorry, I really want to record outside, but there will be a little bit of ambient noise. I am wearing today my Texas tee that, again, returning viewers will have seen it before. It's a t-shirt that I knit in the beginning of my crazy happy summer. It's one of my own designs that I knit with just a few modifications, and I've actually brought the original today to show you. This is the Texas tee, which is just a very simple, roomy, airy raglan t-shirt with a Texas Lone Star down here. That's the star that gave the t-shirt its name. It is knit in a merino single fingering weight at a very loose and open gauge, which allowed me to substitute in a much heavier yarn. This is Drop Spell, the white one, which is a DK weight cotton linen blend. And the blue here, the navy, is also a Drops yarn. It's a Drops Cotton Light. It's a cotton acrylic blend, if memory serves me. But yeah, because of the very open gauge for this one, I was able to substitute in these heavier yarns without any modifications. But then, of course, I left out the Lone Star and the two-color ribbing at the bottom and instead worked some stripes. And I'm just gonna very quickly get up and show you how I managed the stripes. I wanted them placed in a little bit of an untraditional way, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. So here it is, my Texas tee in a quite different version from the original again. Two quite different t-shirts, but both lovely. On this one, I decided to put all of the stripes on the top of the garment. Often you will see these classic sailor sweaters or shirts with the striping starting midway on the chest and then going down. And I decided to put all of the stripes on top, and I really love how that turned out. So yeah, very happy with my Texas tee. I have finished two things this week. Teeny tiny things, but still I finished them. The first one is this hair clip that I created by following the tutorial from Matilda and Julia's Greatest Knits. I will link their channel in the description box below. It is a very simple little recipe that tells you how to add a bow to a simple hair clip. So I knit this one in some beautiful caramel golden colored mohair and added some beads to it just for fun. I'm definitely gonna need to knit one more of these because when I use these clips to put up my hair, I always use two just to keep everything in place. So there's another one of these in my immediate future. I also finished my shorty socks. I have two finished socks on sock bloggers that are too small. My feet are longer but narrower than most sock bloggers. But yeah, please disregard that. I love my little shorties. They are so cute when I wear them with sneakers because I put in some short rows to them so that when I wear them with sneakers, they actually fit perfectly so that the picot edging here just peeks out of the sneaker. I also, and now I'm gonna take it off of the blogger for the last time, I added just a little bit of lace on the foot. That was basically because I was getting bored of just knitting around and around, which was a little crazy because I cast on these socks because I needed something that was simple, something that was just knitting around and around. But yeah, these socks really helped me through a lot of fun outings. It was so easy to just have these in my bag, pull them up, knit a couple of rounds every now and then. I did do a basic short row heel because that's the heel that I can easily do and I have it remembered and it fits my foot really well. I have kind of a narrow little heel. So yeah, my shorties are done and I love them. They only did use 50 grams of yarn though, so I had half a skein left of this beautiful alpaca sock yarn from the Danish hand dyer and Knitter's World. This is undyed, but her alpaca base is just so beautiful for socks because it adds just a little bit of floof to the socks. And ants, there you go. I decided to combine it with this yarn, also from a Knitter's World. This is her merino nylon 7525 base, and it is the colorway Nutty. So what I have done is I have used the same picot cast on that I really love. It's so cute. This time I am knitting a sock that is tall enough that the picot edging will just peek out of my boots. And then I am striping it just one by one stripes. And since this is not blocked, you can probably see where I am changing colors. But yeah, I'm sure that is gonna block out beautifully. I'm gonna put in an afterthought heel just because I still need something that is easy going out knitting just in the round. So an afterthought heel on this one, maybe contrasting heels and toes. I don't know, time will tell. But yeah, I think maybe I am a sock knitter. I know I've said this before, but for sure I am enjoying knitting socks right now. As I mentioned in the beginning, I also yesterday actually felt the urge to work on something a bit more substantial than shorty socks and yarn cozies and little bows and whatnot. So I picked up Peter's Father's Day cast-on sweater again, and that was wonderful. I really enjoyed sitting with it again. And yeah, it is kind of warm to have your lap full of wool, but still, that's fine. And I can work on this in the evenings where it cools down significantly because we are up in the mountains here. So I have finished the body of this sweater. I just knit the last few inches and I knit the ribbing. And what I'm gonna do next is that I am gonna pick up stitches and work the neck here, because I have some ideas, some different ideas for which kind of neckline I want to put in. So I'm just gonna try my hand at some different necklines. I'm gonna probably block the sweater before I do that so that I can try it on Peter with the different necklines and see which one he prefers. I do hope that he will be able to say, oh, I really love this one, so please don't pick it out and knit another one. It would be sad if I knit 3 different necklines and he then at the end said, I really prefer number 1. But, you know, it doesn't take long to knit a neckline, so I'll be fine. The color is blowing out ever so slightly. I would say that this color reminds me more than anything of a dark washed jean that has been washed over and over for many, many years, so lighter stripes have appeared in the folds. It is so pretty. I really love this colorway. This is also yarn from A Knitter's World. And let me just see if I actually have the tag for it. I do. Look at me. This is a 50% yak, 50% silk, which also makes it considerably cooler to work with than 100% wool. And the colorway is denim, which, I mean, makes totally sense. I have a cake here to show you how it looks in the cake. It is this very rich and dark blue. This is actually a very good representation of the color. So this is what it looks like, a rich, dark blue with a lot of depth and nuances and variations to it. I have not been alternating skeins. I've just been knitting away, and when one skein ran out, I added a new one. And that's always, I mean, maybe you're lucky, as I was in this case. Maybe you're not, and then you'll have to rip back. That's just the nature of working with hand-dyed yarns. You never know, and I would say my advice is probably to always alternate skeins. But yeah, I was feeling lazy. So I am going to work on some necklines, and after that there's just a couple of sleeves. Long sleeves. But still, I can see this being finished in the not too distant future. As for tips and tricks, I am gonna answer a question that came a long time ago. I apologize that it has taken me so long. If you have any questions or a subject that you want me to talk about in tips and tricks, please leave it in the comments below. I love to hear what you want to hear about, so that I'm not just sitting here talking for myself. But yeah, steeking is basically, if you don't know, cutting open your knitting. Typically you use steeking in sweaters that you want to make into cardigans. Maybe you want to steek because you are knitting a colorwork cardigan and you're not too fond of purling with colorwork. Maybe it's an old sweater that you want to change into a cardigan, or maybe you're just feeling lazy and don't want to mess around with changing a pattern for a sweater into a cardigan. this is the case with this one, then you just knit your cardigan, add a few extra stitches in front and steek it after to get a cardigan. I am gonna put in a video where I show you how I steek this. This is my doodle sweater that I then cut open to be a cardigan. I am not gonna put it on because this is a bulky weight cardigan and it's Italy in July. So, but I am gonna put in the video and show you how I steeked this one. The only reinforcement I used, and this is where, I mean, there are so many different ways to do it. I swear by the crochet reinforcement. I know that a lot of people are comfortable not reinforcing the stitches at all, just having a larger panel of stitches and then cutting and just folding them in and sewing them down. You can do that if you are working in a woolly wool, an untreated, non-superwash wool. You can probably get away with that because as a general rule, your knitting wanna unravel down. It doesn't want to really unravel sideways. That's not the nature of the knitted fabric. But even with this woolly wool, I prefer to put in a crocheted reinforcement, and I'm going to show in the video how to do that. There's a couple of reasons. It gives me peace of mind to know that I have some sort of reinforcement, but I also think that it gives a rather clean edge, so I don't have to knit any borders or do anything to hide the steek. It will fall into place naturally, and I think it looks neat enough for me at least. If you are working in a superwash yarn, I do recommend, I mean, you can try. I have done this and gotten away with it, just doing a crocheted reinforcement. I've done this on a couple of cardigans and they have been worn a lot. Nothing has happened, so it's definitely doable. But I would actually recommend using your sewing machine to just go up and down a couple of times, in maybe even in a zigzag stitch, just running it through a couple of times on each side of the steeking panel and then cut between what you just sew. That way you're going to be 100% sure that nothing is going to unravel. But I think that that method, you really need to fold in the steek and hide it either with some knitting or a woven band of sorts, something like that. This is of course not steeking color work. This is a one color sweater that was steeked to be a one color cardigan. If you are steeking color work, I do recommend that in the band of steeking stitches that you add, you make sure to do like a checkered border, so you use color 1, color 2, color 1, color 2, and on the next round color 2, color 1, color 2, color 1, so that you are sure that you catch all of your floats. If you have an old sweater, color work, full on color work, and you want to steek it and make it into a cardigan, then I would recommend again the sewing machine, just to make sure that all floats are caught before you start cutting. But other than that, I would say steeking sweaters is so easy. It is such a convenient thing to be able to do. If you want to change old knits, if you want to knit these beautiful traditional kafta, which are all over color work cardigans, they're almost always steeked. And purling with color work, I mean, it's doable. It's not that it's more difficult than knitting with color work per se, but it is kind of difficult to read your charts and to read your knitting because you have your floats covering your actual knitting. So I would definitely choose to knit a cardigan, a colorwork cardigan in the round and then steek it. But yeah, I am gonna put on the video now so that you can see how I turned this one from a sweater to a cardigan. And if you have any questions about steeking or about anything else, please just leave them in the comments below and I will make sure to answer them to the best of my abilities. Okay, I am now ready to steek my dual sweater turned cardigan, or about to turn cardigan. As you can see, I knit the whole thing. I also added the button bands. I didn't have to in this case because I knitted the button bands separately and just sewed them on. And then up here, I continued and picked up all the stitches for the neckline. If I would have had the button bands horizontally, it would have been necessary for me to pick up a knit before steeking because you will like pull on the stitches when you pick up. But anyway, I did it. And now I have my steeking stitches in here. And what I'm going to do, I don't need a lot of reinforcement because this is 100% wool, untreated wool. It's the Snowstorm from Hobbii. Lovely, lovely, light and beautiful, chunky wool yarn. So actually, it's not going to run away from me. Nothing's going to happen here. But just to make sure, I am going to crochet some reinforcements, and then I'm actually also going to needle felt the ends just a little bit. And what I want to do, I want to identify my middle stitch in the steek, which is this one running right here. I want to crochet one leg of that stitch together with one leg of the stitch next to it. I want to do that on both sides because then I can cut right in the middle of that stitch. Because I'm using such a heavy yarn, I am not going to use the original yarn for my crochet reinforcement. I'm just going to take some much lighter yarn in a similar color and I'm going to crochet. So let's see. Identifying the middle stitch and then crocheting into one leg of the middle stitch and one leg of the stitch next to it. I am going to, after I crochet, I'm going to, of course, weave in this end just to secure the edge here. But it's super simple. I'm just gonna crochet in through these stitches, and because the yarn is a lot thinner than the yarn that I'm using for the sweater, I am gonna do 2 stitches in every sweater stitch. So 2 crochet stitches in every sweater stitch. So I have done my crochet reinforcement, and as you can see, you shouldn't really be able to make a mistake when you cut. It's pretty obvious where to cut, right? This little bar from the middle stitch between the 2 crochet reinforcements. I will say though that if you go back in my videos, almost 1 year back, I was steeking a cardigan for little Lucas. And I managed to cut here at the side of the reinforcements, which was stupid, but I managed to save that one. Anyway, I am going to now cut, and then after I'm going to needle felt. Cutting all done. It looks horrible right now, but this will end up good, I promise. These are gonna actually fold back on their own, and I am going to help them with the needle felt. I'm ready to needle felt. I put my rubber foam mat, whatever it's called, underneath, and then I'm just gonna a little bonus tip. If you are working with a very heavy yarn, instead of weaving in the ends, you can actually just needle felt them ever so slightly into place. That was it. I am now done steeking my doodle cardigan. I can't wait to wear it. It doesn't look perfect on the inside yet, but it will after a good blocking. I usually don't block until after the steeking. So the only thing I have left to decide with this one is whether to add buttons or not. If I'm gonna add buttons, which ones? Because I have a smaller size button that I really like for it. Let's see, that's this one. These very rough, they would be beautiful. I also have some larger black buffalo buttons. And for those, I would need to do afterthought buttonholes. But we shall see what happens. So what I would suggest, if you wanna steek a sweater to make a cardigan, when you start knitting, when you cast on, add some steeking stitches. I only added 3 steeking stitches for this one because it's such a heavy yarn. But typically I would probably recommend between 5 and 11 stitches, also depending on what kind of yarn you're working with. This is a rustic yarn, so it's not gonna run. It's not gonna go anywhere. If you're working with a superwash or a smoother yarn like an alpaca or a silk, I would definitely recommend more steeking stitches. I always put stitch markers around my steeking stitches so I don't accidentally count them into the pattern for increasing, decreasing, whatever might happen as you knit along. If you are working with a smoother yarn, I would recommend either like I did here, crochet and needle felt, and really have at it, because even smooth yarns can be needle felted. It just takes patience. Or you could do a reinforcement on your sewing machine, just sewing up along the steeking stitches. Or you could do the crochet and then fold them over, fold them in on themselves and attach it. One more thing that I always do when I convert a sweater pattern to a cardigan is I add some short rows on the back, because I don't like when cardigans drip in front when this falls down, like, can you see it like this? So I will always add some short rows to the back, and I will also be careful when I'm doing the button bands that they're a little shorter than the front of the sweater so that they can help pull everything up. That was it for the creative content this week. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider giving this video a thumbs up below, or maybe even subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. That really helps me growing my channel, and I really enjoy this community that we have surrounding this cyberspace. For life in general, well, it's been joyful for sure. My youngest son came to visit with his two oldest kids. That is my granddaughter, who is 10, and my grandson, who is 3. And we just had a wonderful time with them. My granddaughter, Isabella, she's been coming here since she was just a couple of months old. So she for sure has her favorite spots here. She really enjoys sailing on the Como Lake. She's amazing with the water. I mean, the Como Lake is not warm. It's refreshing, maybe. I would never jump in. She just jumps off of the boat. She does all sorts of crazy, funny things. And this year, her younger brother was actually big enough to also want to jump in the water, wearing a swim vest and with lots of adult supervision, of course, but they had so much fun. She also has her favorite restaurant, one in Varena, which is a beautiful little town on Lake Como. The only thing is, it is super full of people during the summer season, but still, it's nice to go there. And they have, according to her, the best tomato sauce. So, go figure. We also went down to the Lugano Lake. Our house is actually situated right between the Como Lake and the Lugano Lake. So we also went down to the Lugano Lake where they did some paddle boarding. Again, I don't do cold water, so that was not for me. I was knitting away on my socks and super happy to be doing that. But yeah, now we have a week here, Peter and I, to work on our projects. He is beginning the renovations of an old townhouse that he just bought. And I have lots and lots of work to catch up on. So we're going to have a very quiet week. I do look forward to some quiet evenings. Just usually we either go inside in the evening or we bring a computer out here and sit and watch some television together on that one. Just before our son and his family arrived, we started re-watching all 3 seasons, or the first 2 seasons of The Witcher, because we wanted to be up to speed when the 3rd season came out, which it did, and we started watching that. It is just as good as the first 2, in my opinion. I love that show. There's just something magical about it. I really enjoy The Witcher. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Working like cheap donkeys in the daytime and watching The Witcher at night. I hope you have something wonderful to look forward to this week, and then I hope to see you again next week when I hopefully have some significant progress on Peter's sweater. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and keep knitting.